morning.
Good morning.
And we have a few people that are still grabbing their food, but we'll get started. We want to welcome you to our next series of Eggs and Issues. We thank all of you for getting up bright and early. This isn't bright and early, but for some of us bankers, it's very bright and early. We start at 10. But we're grateful for your ongoing support of this series and for being a part of Eggs and Issues with us. We also want to continue to thank our host for the series, House and Healthcare, who provides this lovely venue. And then our series sponsor, Synovus, we want to thank them. So I'm going to ask Ron if he would come up and do our invocation and pledge, and hopefully not a dad joke. We'll see.
Amen.
Yeah, there's no way that y'all are getting away without a dad joke today. I'm getting unsolicited feedback on dad jokes, so I'll let y'all be the judge if these are winners or not. If y'all stand, let's say the blessing and then our pledge. And Lord, thank you for this day. We're so grateful that the Creator of the universe cares about us, cares about our community. And we're grateful for the gifts that you've given everybody here. It's easy to take for granted, but we know lots of people that serve in many, many different ways in this community that are there to protect us, keep us well, protect us not only locally, but across the globe. And we're grateful for that. Thank you for giving them that desire. And we just want to lift up any needs, whether or not they're physical or otherwise, because we know that we're in a community and life gives us ups and downs, and we just ask that you tend to those and put it on our heart to tend to those in the ways that you see. And most of all, we thank you for your grace, and we thank you for your love. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And no, Dan, you can't come back just yet. Look, and I'll just start on a serious note. I do think levity is important. Look, everything that we do on a daily basis, we're all probably pretty serious more of the day than we're not. So I really do enjoy levity, even though not all of us are going to find these funny. Okay, I'm just saying. But on a serious note, for just a second, Synovus, we're proud to sponsor this series. It's not every day, and y'all know this. I know there's a lot of people that come to this series over and over, and it's not just anywhere that you'll get information like you get here that's meaningful, that impacts our community and gives us the information that we need to go and tell this great story that we're telling in our community. So, April, we appreciate you putting this series on. All right, so y'all ready?
Ready as we're gonna be.
Yeah, okay. All right, my dog accidentally ate a whole bag of Scrabble tiles. Took him to the vet. No word yet. There you go. Okay. All right, got one more for you. See, I got some laughs out of that. Okay, I'm on a theme here.
Painful laughs.
Yeah. Okay. This is a poem. 4 foot tall fortune teller escaped from prison. He was a small medium at large. Come on. All right, that's all I have for this.
Great. Okay, thank you, Ron.
That was good.
Right. Risking your sponsorship, guys. I'm just saying.
I will tell you, at least you're preparing for your jokes now and not just off the top of your head. So we feel better about that. Thank you, Ron. All right, so we want to talk about today's sponsor. Today's session sponsor is Cox Communications. I want to call Karen Fry up to the stage. She's the Market Vice President of Middle Georgia. I also want to take a moment here to thank TCS, Pelicano, and Terma for their sponsorship and support of this program. So, Karen.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I just wanted to take a moment to say thank you to April and the Chamber
Center for putting on this series and for allowing us the opportunity to sponsor today's program. I also wanted to recognize and thank Dan Slagle, who could not be here this morning, for all he does for the 21st Century Partnership as Executive Chair. I'm truly looking forward to today's session and learning all about what's been going on with the partnership. And I just wanted to say at Cox, we strive to be provider of choice in order to create moments that matter. So I thank those of you that allow us to do that for you, and I thank you for being here.
Thank you, Karen. All right, so let's get to the meat of our meeting here. We're going to call our panel up. We have today Brigadier General John Kibini. He's the U.S. Air Force retired general and President and CEO of the 21st Century Partnership. Y'all can come on up as we announce you. Dr. Paul Jones, he's President of Fort Valley State University. Dr. Ivan Allen, who is the President of Central Georgia Technical College. Dr. Thomas Kerfis, he's the Executive Director of the Georgia Tech Manufacturing Institute. And of course, our President and CEO of the Robbins Regional Chamber, April Bragg. So let's welcome them all to the stage.
Well, good morning, gentlemen. Thank you for joining me. Y'all don't fight over who gets to sit next to me. I'll wait. So actually, I'm going to start General Kibini with you, so if we can pass that mic down to him. You were just here in February, and the partnership has obviously been busy since then. So if you could just kind of set the stage for us, people may be wondering why I've got this crew assembled. So I'm going to let you address that right off, and then we'll jump into the questions.
Great, thank you, April. It's great to be with you all. Good morning. How y'all doing? Thank you for letting the 21st Century Partnership again have some time on this stage. It has been a great 6 months since we were last here. A lot has happened, and the timing for this event is absolutely perfect because you may have read in the news last week that Georgia Tech was awarded a $67 million grant from the Department of Commerce to get after artificial intelligence manufacturing. So the grant title is the Georgia Artificial Intelligence and Manufacturing, the Georgia AIM. And we here in Middle Georgia are blessed to be a part of that. And to the tune of over $4 million coming right here to Middle Georgia to advance STEM. And we're going to talk a whole lot about that today. But I do think we can clap for that.
Absolutely.
And what I'd like to talk about our panel members here in just a second, but I do want to recognize our board members, the 21st Century Partnership board members that are here today. I may miss someone, but Commissioner Byrd, Chairman Stalnaker, great to have you here. Dr. Scott, thank you. Tony Hanna from Georgia Power, thank you. I saw George Greer here as well. And did I miss any of our board members here? So thank you for your support of our partnership. You do amazing work in supporting us, and I'd be remiss if I didn't call out our partnership team. Of course, Dan Rhodes, who makes all of us look good and all the work that he does. And I will tell you, the Herculean effort that Dan put into working with Dr. Kerfis's team. Aaron Stebner from Georgia Tech is here, who's really the mastermind behind the whole Georgia AIM. There's a lot of work done over these last 6 months to get to where we are today. So Dan, thank you for that. Jamie Cook is here, and if you get a chance today, say hi to Jamie. It's his birthday today. We're not going to say it, but we want to say happy birthday today. And Lori Freeman, Deborah Cox are here. I mean, this team is amazing. Your team, the 21st Century Partnership, and we don't exist without your support. And so I just want to thank all the businesses and the community leaders that are here that support our partnership each and every day. And the reason we're here is because of this table right here. The men and women of Robbins Air Force Base. General, thanks for being here today. Appreciate you and what you have done for this community in your short time already. So thank you very much. I want to recognize George Levy, who's one of our newest senior leaders. If you, Mr. Levy, raise your hand. Mr. Levy runs the supply chain group here now, and so just took over a few months ago. So if you hadn't had a chance to talk to Mr. Levy, please do, and thank you for being here. The 21st Century Partnership exists to support the men and women at Robbins Air Force Base and what they do for our nation every day, period. Everything we're going to talk about is going to help all y'all's businesses, and it's going to help this region, but when I look at it, it's going to help Robbins Air Force Base, it's going to help our nation's defense, That's why we are here. So I'm excited about today. My friend Dr. Tom Kerfis is the Executive Director of the Georgia Tech Manufacturing Institute. He has an amazing background. If you get a chance to talk to Dr. Kerfis, please do so. He has worked in the White House. He has worked at BMW. He has worked at Oak Ridge National Labs. And he has multiple degrees from MIT. And he's a teacher at Georgia Tech. And he's still teaching classes right now of undergrads because he loves it so much. I've had the pleasure of knowing Dr. Kerfis now since I took command here 6 years ago. We got to know each other really early in my command time, and he has been a great partner for Robins Air Force Base and for the entire Air Force. There is no one that knows manufacturing in the United States more than Dr. Tom Kerfis. And to have him here in Georgia and have him part of what we're doing here in Middle Georgia, it's quite an honor. And I'd like to, of course, our other esteemed guest, Doctor. I've always wanted to say that, so that's kind of cool. you all, no introduction needed for our presidents here, President Jones from Fort Valley State. Sir, I'm excited about the partnership that we're going to have and hearing more about that. And of course, President Ivan Allen from Central Georgia Tech and our Vice Chairman of our Partnership Board and my dear friend. It's great to share the stage with you all. Dr. Kerfis, if you would start us off with just talking a little bit about what Georgia AIM is broadly, and then we'll kind of narrow that down and what it means for us here in Middle Georgia after that.
Great, thank you very much, General. So by the way, I promised April, you know that professors like to talk in 1 hour chunks. I said I'll keep it short. I'll keep it to 15 minutes per answer. I'm nervous. But really, what this is all about, it's all about, and you've already heard about it. It's about economy. It's about national security. How do we make sure that manufacturing is here in the United States and stays here in the United States? I think we've all seen what's happened with the recent, in terms of COVID, in terms of some of the energy issues and so forth, how fragile the ecosystem can be globally. And we really want to have a lot of that strength here in the U.S. You're hearing about electric cars coming online. Well, hey, here's the deal. Where are we going to get the electric cars from? We're going to get them from overseas. We're going to get them over here. And and I think we all know that several electric car and battery plants are coming on board. Now, and so how do we make sure? Look, the technology is there. What we need is the workforce. We need the people who are capable of doing it. And we have it. And Georgia is this unbelievably unique place. So yes, we talk about Georgia Tech. That's great. But University of Georgia is in there. We work with Kennesaw State. It's the university system of Georgia. Simultaneously, we have the technical college system that also goes throughout the state. So you have this incredibly strong network that can support everything that's going on in manufacturing, allow it to move it forward. And that's really what we're all about. We're taking the strengths that we have here in the state of Georgia, places like here in Middle Georgia, where we have some tremendous needs and we have some tremendous capabilities. And by the way, it's not only about the technology and the people. I mean, it's things like access to capital. So I think it's great that we see banks and so forth over here. We see educators over here. We see end users in terms of Robins. But this is allowing us to bring it all together. And now think about it. You always think about all this automation sort of helping out physically with people. We're talking about giving you some help, or instead of artificial intelligence, think about it as augmented intelligence. Hey, just making sure that you're doing the right things. Or can we learn from the experts that are out there as they're doing things so we can train the next generation and work with them? Simple example is, look, I'm driving down the road. If you see the big red octagon, which is what, the stop sign, you don't need to hit the brakes and so forth. You just need to highlight, hey, here's an octagon here, and I think we've all probably driven through a stop sign. So you just give somebody a heads up and say, oh, look out. Yeah, I know. Hopefully nobody's caught us doing it, but it happens, right? And it's sort of the same thing here. So augmented intelligence, really taking people and just giving them that little edge, making them much more valuable in terms of the workforce, so allowing us to move things forward. Understanding what our industry partners need. We were talking about this yesterday. What do we need? Okay, and this is where a lot of the technical colleges and the community colleges and so forth, they understand what's going on. They work closely with industry. So by the way, the other thing is I encourage you to work closely with us. And then letting us know, hey, here's where the research needs to go, but it's not just a one-way or two-way street. We're partnering. So that's the exciting part about this, right? So you get our $65 million, that really helps people move things forward. But it allows us to move industry forward, but it also allows us to make sure we have a secure future. One of the things we're looking at, and then I'll just stop there, is cybersecurity. Making sure, you get worried a little bit about plugging something in on your computer at home. Think about your $1 million machine tool, and so forth. And these are the things that we just need to train people up on a little bit and make sure they understand and make sure we have the right protections there. So it's an exciting time.
Yeah, very exciting. And General Kubinick, I know your team has been talking about Middle Georgia Innovation Corridor for a while, and understanding a little bit bigger picture from Dr. Kerfis about what AIM is. The Middle Georgia Innovation Corridor is how we are going to see this implemented in Middle Georgia. So if you could talk a little bit about that specifically and how that connects with the work being done at the partnership.
Absolutely. I did notice Chief Wagner wrote your name down there, so he'll be watching for you going through stop signs later. So. I need to recognize our partner in this is Angie Giesling in the Houston County Development Authority. I know Chairman Holbert is here. Thank you, sir, for being here. Angie's partnered with us at the 21st Century Partnership to be that teammate with Georgia Tech on there. And Angie couldn't be here this morning, so I'll do my best to fill in for her. But and we got a great team here. And Angie, as you know, you've heard her speak from this stage about the Middle Georgia Innovation Project. It was a DoD-funded study that was done a few years ago, and the outcome of that study was that there are pockets of innovation here in Middle Georgia, but they're not linked together to fulfill their full potential. So there's silos of excellence, if you will, but we're not all working together to move this region forward. And when we talk about that, we're talking about all the industry that's here, and we're talking about Robins Air Force Base. Again, the DoD funded the study, and the DoD said, hey, for your industry here, because they realize that as industry grows here, it's only going to help Robins. And as Robins continues to advance in their new missions, it's only going to help industry. I mean, so it is a relationship there that benefits both parties. And so we've identified this need to have a Middle Georgia Innovation Project and really have an entity and eventually a person that can help bridge the gap and bring together all that's happening in industry, all that's happening at the base, all that's happening in academia, bring it together to move the region forward. So that's one of the main things that this project and this grant will enable us to do is actually take the Middle Georgia Innovation Project from a great theory in a report to something practical that's going to help you and your businesses, and it's going to help the General and Holbeck and everyone at Robins Air Force Base to move their missions forward as well. And so that's the exciting part of that. And let me tell you, one of the things that we're going to capitalize on is the great work that's being done in partnership at the base called Project Synergy. You've heard me talk about Project Synergy a lot. We had great ideas of what that would be. It has exceeded all of those. The dual enrollment classes that we have there, right there at General Eberlin's Project Synergy with Middle Georgia State University, we're going to try to replicate that and make it even larger. The work that we're doing with Dr. Allen and the Technical College at Project Synergy, we want to replicate that throughout the 11 counties in this region. We really want to take what's happening in Project Synergy, expand upon that so that we can reach all of the kids that we need to reach. Because let me tell you, and I'm sure my other panelists will talk about this, we can't grow this workforce, this STEM workforce fast enough. And we can't grow too many in the STEM workforce. And we're going to have to get out into our rural areas, into our underserved areas, and ensure that those young kids, those young boys and girls have the same opportunity that we've had sitting here on this stage, and that you've had leading your businesses. And so we've got to get out and we've got to replicate what we're doing good, and we've got to expand that out into the area. And that's one of the other things that we're really going to do with this grant. And the last thing I'll say is all the work that Jamie Cook has done with the Middle Georgia STEM Alliance has been tremendous. But Jamie has been a one-man show with not a whole lot of funding. And what we're going to be able to do is, through this grant, is really get after the Middle Georgia STEM Alliance, really make it an alliance, not just in name, but in function, and get after what everyone's doing in STEM and try to be a force multiplier in that area. So those are the main areas with the Middle Georgia Innovation Project, really growing on what we've done in Project Synergy and that partnership, getting out into our other counties, and then enhancing the Middle Georgia STEM Alliance and the work that Jamie has done.
I love it. Thank you so much for that perspective. And Jamie is actually a great segue to my next question, which is for Dr. Allen. I know one of the great ways that we are recruiting students into STEM and keeping them is through the incredible robotics programs here, not only in Houston County, but across our region and our state. Robotics is obviously a big piece of the innovation here in Middle Georgia. Can you tell us what Central Georgia Technical College is doing in this area and some of the other great things that tie into this initiative?
Thank you, Madam President, CEO. Good morning, everybody. It's always great to be here with you. First off, I want to thank Dr. Kerfis, Aaron, a fantastic job in leading this effort. I am against most federal spending unless it's coming here. I kid because I kid. I am so excited to be able to talk about where we're headed with robotics, artificial intelligence. We plan at Central Georgia Tech through this generational investment to put a studio, if you will, artificial intelligence and robotics studio at the Georgia Veterans Center, specifically to support those men and women who have served this nation, who come to the point of transitioning to civilian life, and who want to get this specialized training to continue to either serve the nation by going back and working in the Department of Defense or moving into your businesses. Now that's what is exciting here. We're supporting rivals, and that's first and foremost. But this studio will give us the opportunity to reach those men and women who serve, to reach folks throughout this region. If you're in, and I'm gonna say it, in Macon at Urban Consumer Products, if you are here in Houston County and you're a part of Jacqueline, and you want to find this talented workforce, where are we gonna get those folks? Through these kinds of initiatives. We've got to train up the next generation of leaders to take manufacturing forward and to support our military and our nation's safety and well-being. That's what we plan to do with the investment we will receive. This studio will be one of a kind, first of its kind, cutting edge. Mike Engel, who is our dean, is sitting there. He will help us understand what to buy, when to buy, how to design it. And then we're going to get out there and beat the pavement and make sure we're working with our K-12 partners. And I want to put a pin right there. We are so blessed to have partnership throughout this region with K-12 that will recognize what a gift this is and will capitalize on this gift to build a strong foundation for our workforce pipeline going forward. We must reach back as far as we can into K-12 and get these kids ready through these alliances and STEM workshops and all the things that will come out of this investment. We got to be sure it is far and wide. That investment reaches kids far and wide. I'm excited about what we'll do in Houston. We already reached 2,700 kids or more in dual enrollment in Houston. Excited about the growth in BIA, but let me tell you the secret here. If we got all the kids in Houston BIA together and said, this is what we're going to do, we probably still would not meet the need. So we got to go to Twiggs County, where over 25% of the adults that don't have a high school diploma or GED, which is an indicator of the struggle those kids might face. We got to go down to Dooley County. We've got to go places we have not traditionally gone and be sure that we are hooking those kids up to this initiative and hooking those communities up to the economic engine that is Middle Georgia. And we've got to give every kid an opportunity to shine. And it's not just in this area. We're proud of what's happening here, but that's a message for us all moving forward. We've got to build a pipeline, a foundation and a pipeline that is generational, that will keep that base strong, that will keep our businesses strong beyond just the next 15, 20 years. And we do that by making the investment today. Taking this money, being good stewards of that money, and put it in the places where we know Georgia has to grow and continue to be strong. Does that make sense to everybody?
Absolutely.
Well, if it didn't make sense, see me later. And I'll continue to try to explain it. But thank you, Mark Scott, for what you are doing and the school system is doing to be sure we're strong here. This is the most progressive and forward-thinking school system, I think, in the state. And others are following your lead throughout the state. And again, Dr. Kerfis and his team, thank you for your leadership, for your vision, for getting out there and competing. This wasn't something where they dropped off a money truck to anybody who asked. This was a competition. And it speaks highly of this region to be in this position to receive such a generational investment. Thank you.
I love it. Well, and the thing that I'm feeling, the through line that you see here is that this really is a team effort. Much like everything that we do here in Houston County, it's higher ed, it's the technical college system, it's our partnership with the base, our partnership with K-12, our business community, and of course Robbins, all working collectively for the greater good. And Dr. Allen, when you talk about the STEM pipeline, so many times people only think about software engineering and cybersecurity and things like that. But another critical component that really means a lot here in Houston County is agriculture. And Dr. Jones, I know that's where we have seen tremendous advancements in technology and agriculture and that connection at Fort Valley State University through Precision Agriculture and all the different wonderful initiatives that you guys have going on. So if you could just talk a little bit about that focus and the connection between ag and technology and how that really plays into our future here.
Thank you, April, and what a pleasure it is to join the panel today and to be with all of you. Really exciting time, I think, in our history as we think about where we are, particularly in this space. Agriculture and technology, they go together. I think that's one of our greatest challenges right now is trying to help young people in particular understand the emerging technology, the emerging fields. We like to tell folks all the time that agriculture is everything, but how we go about messaging that to young people, I think, is important. The technology is allowing us, I think, today to do a far better job of really helping these young people to understand the incredible career paths. I think the first impression a young person has is probably they're going to be on a tractor, and they might be, but they might actually be running that tractor from their house because of the incredible technology that takes place. I think one of the things you mentioned, we talk about the surrounding communities and the importance of, in our view, in bringing underserved communities into this ecosystem, if you will. For Fort Valley State, that is what we do, and that's what we do best. We've been serving the underserved for many, many years. We have been around since 1895, and we have a mission very much like University of Georgia, and that is a statewide mission because we are a land-grant institution. And part of what we do is take technology into communities all across the state, but in particular, our focus is in Middle Georgia and South Georgia. So we have county agents through our cooperative extension operation that is co-located with the University of Georgia, but is in these communities. We have a mobile technology center, for example. And that gives us a great opportunity to not only build capacity in those communities, particularly from a technology perspective as we train business owners, we train the limited resource farmers. But this work, I think, is so important it gives us an opportunity, rather, to help young people also to understand, where technology is going today. Precision agriculture, or we talk about this emerging technology. I think our young people can get really excited about, drones and robotics and other kinds of, but it's not enough to just be excited. And so what we are hopeful in this new collaborative is helping to make those important connections, bringing, as you said, Dr. Allen, it's going to take much more than in just pulling the community here together to make all of this happen. And so how do we bring these other these other individuals in? And that's what I think we hope to do in this effort.
Yeah, I love that, and that's a perfect segue. So, you know, we really covered kind of the what with the project here, and so now let's kind of shift into where the future of that growth is. And General Comenick, I'll kick this back to you. So, you know, for a while now, we've been hearing that the Air Force is looking to accelerate change. And that's something that we were talking about when you were in the uniform. How is Middle Georgia involved in that, and how does this project accelerate that change we're looking to see?
Well, you just look at the visits that General Eberlin hosted over the last few weeks. He had the chairman of the Senate Armed Services Committee and our 2 U.S. senators here. Last week, the Secretary of the Air Force was here because Robins is in the middle of accelerating change. With the divestiture of the J-Stars that we've talked about from this stage and other places, and the advent of the new missions that are coming here at Robins, those new missions will form the backbone of the future of our United States Air Force. And I don't think that's an overstatement. That is where we're moving. And so how do we as a community then support these men and women as they bring these new missions on? Well, it's ensuring that they, one, have the workforce that they're going to need to accomplish those missions. And those missions fit exactly with what Dr. Jones just talked about with precision agriculture. We talk about precision, automation, robotics, unmanned. All of those things are part of what these new missions will have. If you listen to the Secretary of the Air Force talk about bringing on the next generation air dominance, there may not be a pilot sitting in the cockpit. And Robins is postured with the work we've done with the Global Hawk, and now, you know, in the future, to be a center for those type of new missions. But we have to make sure they have the workforce, not just that wears the uniform, that there's our civil servants that are here, and the industry expertise that's here as well. And so this grant could not come at a better time for Robins Air Force Base because of the transitioning that's happening now. And listen, we are always going to need and have to have that foundational skilled artisan that Dr. Allen and the Technical College produces, that General Eberlin is going to continue to need. But that's not going to be enough. Those skilled artisans are going to also have to understand the digital world. And that's going to have to be all of our business. And so the grant now enables us to get after what the men and women at Robins are going to need in a much more powerful way now. And the timing couldn't be better. I want to echo on Dr. Jones' point too, and actually thank him and the team at Fort Valley State for all that they're doing in reaching out to our entire region and growing that stand. I'm really, of all the things we're doing with this Georgia AIM project, the mobile STEM lab that Fort Valley State is going to put together and deploy as part of this is probably the most exciting thing in my mind. Because now you're taking STEM education out to kids that aren't going to probably get on a bus and come out to our museum. They aren't going to, come to Fort Valley State to see what's happening there. We need to get to them, and that's what this mobile learning lab and mobile STEM lab is going to enable us to do. And as young people learn about precision agriculture, and they go to get a degree in a STEM-related field, they may go work in agriculture, but they may come work at the base. They may be a software engineer. They may work in your industry, running your industrial systems. And so growing that pie of STEM-educated workforce members is really exciting, and it's going to be what Robins Air Force Base needs in the future.
That's exciting. Well, as you pointed out earlier, General Kubinick, I'm the only one on this side of the stage without a doctorate. Now, I do have a theater degree, so I can pretend with the best of them. But a lot of us in the audience may be a little more visual in nature, so paint us a picture. We're talking about an innovation corridor. What does that look like? What industries are involved in that? And kind of, lay it out for us.
Yeah, so what I see that as, and it's not necessarily a brick and mortar kind of place, but it's a connection. So think about the pockets of innovation that are happening at Robins Air Force Base, that are happening in our education system, they're happening at Middle Georgia State University, they're happening at Mercer, they're happening at Fort Valley, they're happening at the Tech College. There are pockets of innovation that are happening everywhere. Flint Energies and the Firestarter Fab Lab. Those are all, there's pockets of these. If I'm picturing something, it's how you link it. We were talking about this last night, and then we talked about the old idea of a hub and spokes going out from it. But it's not that, it's the mesh idea. That you have all of these pockets that are now meshed together that can learn from each other and move everyone forward. Now I get it, if you're in industry and you have some proprietary information that you don't want out, I get that. But there's still a lot of things that we can share, from industry to the base to academia, and as we link that together, which is really the whole idea of this, it's just a connector. The Middle Georgia Innovation Corridor and Project is to identify, celebrate the innovation that's happening, and then how do we learn from each other and move it forward, instead of just having everyone doing their own thing. How do we move the whole region forward?
I love that. I mean, it really is a network of resources, and I think, Dr. Kerfis, maybe you can share with us how this Middle Georgia Innovation Corridor plays into the big picture of Georgia AIM, because that is just an expansion of that network that we're looking to build and augment here in Middle Georgia.
But thank you, and I think it's right on target. So really, and by the way, not only the up and coming workforce, but the current generation workforce. I mean, let me just point out, I mean, one of the things I love to do, my students say, if I don't do this at least 10 times in a lecture, wave my smartphone around. Think about how this thing has changed your lives. I mean, my kids don't even know how to drive around and stuff, where they just bring up Google Maps and it tells them where to go. And this is, and my mother does this. It's actually, today's her 84th birthday, right? She uses Google Maps, so she ties in all the supercomputing and the whole bit, artificial intelligence to make her life easier. And that's the same thing that's going on here. So it's not just about the younger generation coming up. I mean, certainly important. We're doing some great things. And by the way, I want to point out, a lot of them, they don't want to leave home. This is home for them. And here's what's going on. Number one, lots of opportunities over here. And number two is we're going to train them up. But the third thing is that we're going to make sure that they're trained. You're in the workforce for 50 years. I'm a car guy. I've spent some time over at BMW. Think about what the car looked like 50 years ago. And think about how technology has changed. If you have not learned anything over those past 50 years, you're pretty much a technical dinosaur. So we're going to keep people up and running. We're going to give them the greatest capabilities and so forth. You hear about things like automation. AI is automation. One of the questions I get is, oh, when am I going to lose my job? Not going to happen. It's actually, thinking about, I was testifying in front of Congress. When am I going to get the robot that unloads a dishwasher? Never gonna happen. Robot, $100,000, dishwasher, maybe $800, $1,000, right? If you've ever seen one of these robots, you would never let it handle your china, right? It'd just destroy it. But people are awesome. They can pick things up. Robot can't get a peg in a hole. Try and stack a dishwasher. Right, I know my dishwasher doesn't do well with mustard. I see that mustard spot there, I rinse it off. I can deal with all that. When I'm pulling it out, oops, I missed that one, I can clean it off. People are awesome. What we want to do is augment them, moving it forward, and that's what this whole effort is all about. So when we talk about the whole Fort Valley University, right?
State University.
State University. Thank you. But university system, right? I mean, we're all right. I mean, you've got Chancellor Sonny Perdue, right? He is in there. He's our boss. So to bring it all together, this is what makes sense. So you hear about this and say we're all working together. In fact, actually, we also have the Georgia Manufacturing Extension Partnership. This is where we go out to the small manufacturers and we help out, and this is throughout the entire state. In fact, I think I saw, where's Greg? Greg, yeah, there you are. Yeah, wave over there. Greg's got the yellow tie on. I realize I wore the wrong color today, but I do have little airplanes on here, so I think we're okay. But Greg is the guy who does a lot of work in terms of just connecting the technology to a lot of our industry, so to make sure it's out there. I think if you're the really big companies, you're in pretty good shape. But a lot of the small, medium-sized companies, let's really use that technology, make you comfortable with it. So it really is about bringing that capability, bring that network, the mesh to everybody, to have them all linked in and moving forward, both the companies as well as the workforce.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And I know a lot of those tools and resources we see on display at our technical college. And Dr. Allen, you were on this stage with me recently talking about all the different services that you guys provide and how many of them people really don't even know about. With this initiative, you're going to have an expanded range of options for students across the region. Can you share with us a little bit about those?
Well, in terms of the range of options, we will add some certificates, diplomas, perhaps some specific degrees around this award. Industry 4.0, we've been talking about that. How do we move forward with micro-credentialing, giving people short-term ways to get the skills necessary to go out, support the base, support other industries. One of the things I want to go back to in terms of what we talked about with this overall effort. We're talking a lot today about Robbins. There are folks sitting in this audience saying, well, what does it do for my small business? I'm not a manufacturer. I don't have a lathe in my business. I'm just trying to make payroll at the end of the month. Well, this will actually help you do that. How? The rising tide will lift all the boats. This is really at the end of the day about jobs. This is about training people for jobs. It's about job creation and job sustaining. And General Cummings said something so important earlier about the new missions coming. Well, what does that really mean for us? What that really means is we have to be prepared with the workforce, with the capability to support those new missions, to make Robbins as strong as possible, not to lose pace in terms of staffing levels at Robbins, to grow the pie. As we grow the pie, we all are able to be successful, I believe. I want to talk about one other thing. When we talk about STEM, we're going to talk a lot about the defense sector. We talk about aerospace. We talk about all the. Don't forget in healthcare, which is another major sector in the economy here. We are preparing a workforce that's got to go out and meet all of those needs. And I believe these efforts will also bleed over into healthcare and other areas throughout our region. And so, we'll add degrees, certificates, diplomas, and there'll be all these opportunities in dual enrollment. We want the robotics team to go out to our new studio at Vector and be able to practice and to build robots, and that's all going to prepare us for the future. But at the end of the day, this is really about a corridor, teaming, bursting with activity, having a strong foundation of workforce that can support what's going on in Robbins and throughout the region. That's what it's really about. And so I'm very proud to be a part of this, and Central's just ready to go.
I love it. Well, and I want to highlight something you mentioned in your previous comments about if we combine all of the students in Houston and Bibb County, we still wouldn't have enough. So we talk about Robbins, and people often think that's going to take people out of the private sector and their small businesses and their workforce. But what we have this opportunity, Houston County is a magnet. In case y'all haven't noticed, there's some kind of force field here, and it's mostly due to Robbins Air Force Base, but it's also our quality of life. It's our K-12 system. It's the network of resources that we have here, and so we're going to be pulling in.
It's Tommy Stallman.
It's Tommy Stallman. We all know that's the secret sauce. But no, seriously, I mean, if you look at the number of counties that people are driving into to work at Robbins, to work in our hospital and other large employers here, a lot of them are moving here, a lot of them are staying here, and regardless if they live here or not, they're stimulating our economy. So that rising tide, that influx of talent, they're getting their dry cleaning done here, they're eating in our restaurants, they're shopping in your businesses, they're banking with you, they're using our utilities and our resources. So it really does have this trickle down effect that we often just forget about.
That's what I was trying to explain.
Yeah.
That was beautiful.
You did great. I just had to say it again.
The theater thing is coming through.
I love it. I never know what you're gonna say. So, Dr. Jones, I had the great privilege of sitting in on a session with you yesterday talking about a Fab Lab initiative that you guys are doing. And my question that I have here is about the mobile STEM labs, which I think we've discussed, and you can talk a little bit more about that. But I think based on the audience that we have here, I would love if you could share some of the resources available that people may not know about that you have for existing businesses, particularly those in the agriculture field. I was blown away with some of the microscopic technology and other things that your students and the university is able to do, able to provide for businesses to help them be successful and thrive.
Well, thank you for that question. And we discussed this somewhat yesterday in a smaller group, how we don't do a good enough job of telling our story. And, like I spoke about some of the limited resource communities. Well, in many ways we could say limited resource institution. So we don't have a lot of resources to put into the marketing side of things. But that doesn't mean that there are not great things happening at the university. And you're absolutely right. What we hope is that you see our university as your university. Too often we get caught up in labels in our community, in our society. and we automatically sometimes make assumptions about that particular place, person, or otherwise. This is an important asset, I think, that you have in your community that we want you to leverage. As a land-grant institution, we have the obligation to ensure that we're bringing resources to the community. And you're absolutely right. You know, if I think about the 26 institutions, public institutions in the university system of Georgia, we rank about 5th or 6th in terms of the sponsored research that we bring to this community. We're only an institution of 2,700 students, so we are punching well above our weight in terms of what we're bringing to the community. The technology that we have in terms of for research purposes is some of the only equipment that you're going to find in Middle Georgia. And that's one of the things that we're beginning to do a better job of, is partnering particularly with those agricultural research, whether it's in Byron or Dawson or South Carolina, others who want to bring their researchers here to take advantage of this specialized equipment. I would say the name of that lab, Dr. Cannon, but I can never remember the exact name. Ultrascope. See, I knew I shouldn't have even tried it. But we have this amazing lab on, I don't know why I named it that, but it's an amazing lab on campus that individuals can take advantage of. And so I think we need to do a better job of telling our stories and connecting businesses. And one of the ways that we hope to do that is two incredible things that are going to happen. Yesterday, some of you in the audience actually took part in our design studio planning session yesterday, where we're bringing a digital fabrication lab to Warner Robins and will be housed at the Warner Robins Center. And part of that, we're very grateful for the funding that we received from Chevron and the Fab Foundation. And what this is, it's not a duplication of efforts, but really building on capacity that we have here in Middle Georgia. And I think that's what we're trying to do, I think, with the whole Middle Georgia innovation piece, is how do we leverage these important assets that we have to grow our community. And this lab will give us a great opportunity to do that, and with a particular focus on youth and connecting this center with youth, K-12 in particular, across the region. And that's why we strategically placed it in Houston County versus housing it on our campus. However, we are also in the final stages, final design phases of a new center for agribusiness innovation and entrepreneurship, a $5 million facility that we hope to start construction on in November, again, building on the ecosystem that is here. So we really want to do a better job of connecting you to the university's assets. That's what we've been called on to do. We just need to do a better job of it. And I hope through these efforts that we have that we can better connect industry so that you can grow your business. We're working very closely with the base. In fact, I got to get back here soon to meet some individuals who will be on campus from the base looking at 2 of the labs that were placed on campus for our students. So connecting our students to industry, making sure they're prepared to go into the workforce. So it's an exciting time for us in this region. But I think what's most important is that we seize the moment. I'm not sure that we can recreate this later. The time is now. The time is up for us to come together as a community, to work together, to leverage its assets, to grow this community. And that's what we want to be a part of. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Jones. And I hope you guys have picked up on the through line. Every single one of these organizations represented has indicated a direct call to action for the business community to connect with them, to provide them input for research, for degree certifications and programs, and for opportunities to assist with agribusiness, entrepreneurship, and a whole lot more. Our mission at the Chamber, one of our pillars is to be a connector of people and resources. If you don't know how to get in touch with one of these individuals directly, please reach out to us. That's what we're here for, to help be that bridge that connects all of these things, because there is a lot going on and it's a lot to keep up with. But we want to help be your air traffic controller and get you to the destination that you guys are looking for with the tools and instruments that you need to achieve that. So General Kubinick, we're going to kind of just wrap things up and tie this up with a bow, and really just kind of honing in on why the focus on technology now. So all of us that are familiar with the work at Robins know that there are still craftsmen out there turning a wrench on an airplane. So what is coming that is driving that focus on technology in our region now, and what are those future impacts?
I think Dr. Jones said it best. We've got a moment in time right now that we need to capitalize on. And the funding from the federal government, the matching, we talk about the matching funds from the state that are going to come. We've got an environment in this state, thanks to leaders like Representative Blackman, that enables you as businesses to thrive, enables us to support our military installations, that funds our university system, our technical college system. So we've got all the right pieces to move us forward. And now we haven't done anything yet. We've got some funding, we've got some great plans, and that's not to discount the work that's been done, don't get me wrong. But to move us forward, now is the time. And those of us on stage can't do it. Even all of us combined can't do it. We need to get everyone in this region, in this base, to move forward together to secure the future, not just for Middle Georgia, and not to be overly dramatic, but for our nation. As we wanted to bring manufacturing out of China and back to the U.S., we're going to have the technology and the workforce to be able to do that. And now's our chance to really get after this here as a region. And I'm super excited to be able to work with leaders like this on this project. I have great respect for everyone that I'm part of this project with, and I know that we can accomplish what we're setting out to do when we do it together.
I love it. Any closing remarks, anything we missed or that you guys want to add before we, Dr. Hervis?
Really quickly. I just want to echo what General Kubinick just said, all right? And this is not about playing catch up. We're talking about how are we going to engage our current workforce and our next generation workforce in next generation technology, in new technologies that allow us to basically leapfrog the competition. And that's really what we're all about. And it's true, the time is now. We were talking about it. We were talking about this last night. Kids with their gaming skills and so forth. How do we leverage those? I mean, think about it. Think about how we used to, think about the telephone. 80 years for the telephone to go from wireless to, you all remember the old flip phone, the mobile phone? And then that was only around for 10 or 15 years. Then we went to the smartphone. Within a couple of years, boom. That's how technology is rapidly accelerating. We've got to keep up with it. But we have the population to do it. And we're going to leapfrog the competition. And it's going to be amazing. It's going to be important for the security of the nation and for the economy. The future is bright. The more I work on this, the more I'm excited about what basically future we're leaving our children and grandchildren and the next generations. Yeah, it's exciting. So engage, please.
Yes. Please join me in thanking our panel today. I know the press will be waiting on you following this over on that orange wall. Thank you all so much for coming. I don't know about y'all, but I'm very excited.
Awesome.
Yes, I'm excited about not only what is happening in the future of technology and innovation, but also in our chamber and all of our member businesses. As Dr. Allen pointed out, rising tide raises all ships. And in the last few moments, I had replaying in my head, again, theater major moment, the song from Newsies, "Now It's Time to Seize the Day." One for all and all for one. And I hope you guys feel that energy and excitement and want to move forward. If you are looking for opportunities to partner with the Chamber and things we do like this Eggs and Issues series, the work that we do in the schools. We are in the midst, we've got 2 weeks left in our SOAR campaign, which is a sponsorship drive, hosted and manned by a lot of volunteers, many of whom are in the room. If you want to raise your hand real quick. My SOAR team members, you can see they're kind of in all the corners. If you want to know more, please talk to them. This is a tremendous opportunity to leverage the work that the Chamber's doing, both in person and those little groups that we have online on Facebook, to really align with the mission work that we're doing. And I'm excited about what's to come. And speaking of what's to come, tonight we're going to be at Ortho, Georgia for business after hours from 5:30 to 7. The butcher shop is catering, there's live music, there's great giveaways. I hope to see all of you there. If you have not yet registered, you can do that on your phone, or you can see R. Lee, who's right over here by the door, and we'll make sure you've got a name tag waiting on you. And then we'll see you back here next month, where I believe, Mr. Briscoe, you're up next. So we'll be talking about house and health care and all of the incredible work that they're doing as they continue to serve as the healthcare system here in Houston County. Y'all make it a great day. We'll see you soon.